Welcome to the NAO show. That's Tank Top Mike with his gray tank top today. Thanks, Mike. I can see a little bit of your nipple. And Marky Mark, he got a win. It's week 7 in review, our first rivalry week. You're going to find out that even with my shitty ass lineup, I still scored over 100 points. And you're also going to find out that Silly Dilly is still crappy, even though his record is 5-2. Let's kick the show off. Let's go, Marky Mark. What do you got going on for us today?
Let's start it out with the scores as always. We're going to start off with our boy, Tank Top Mike, 172, FNG 81. So, not much of a contest here, Mike, but I'm going to let you have your moment as the week's top scorer.
Hey, this was fantastic. You want it? I was in no risk of being outscored by FNG. I don't know what that would feel like. I think the underdogs were at one point. Got a little risky for them. Not me, though. I doubled up. Anyway, I doubled up and Mahomes only scored 7 points. So there you go. This was really, the Kamara trade paying off, the DeAndre Swift trade paying off. I paid peanuts for Cooper Kupp, and that's paying off. Team really kicked it into high gear. I'm crushing it right now. I don't know if you guys noticed. And I don't know if you scroll down a little bit on my team, I had Stephon Diggs on my bench, and I had Eckler on my bench. So see you next week in week 8 when I have nobody on bye. Let's go.
That's exactly. I wasn't going to say anything about FNG because we all know where he's standing, and it is what it is with his team. But freaking Tank Top Mike comes in with 170 points. You look at that score, and you're like, man, his players really went off. He had Eckler and Diggs on the bench, and Mahomes put up a 7 spot, and he still scored 170 points. I really hope whoever makes it into the playoffs has a fucking line to God, because that's the only way you're going to beat Tank Top Mike in the playoffs now.
Wow. Bold statement halfway through the season. I got to say, I'm really touched by your humility, Mike. It's really good. Really good to see.
I've told Ian before that I am extraordinarily humble. So.
All right, let's move on to our next score. That is the Tough Luck Kid, 135. Goofy Jace, 105. So I get my second win against the top 4 team. Unfortunately, it's my second win, period. Start us off on this one, Mike.
For all those quarterbacks that Goofy has, he manages to pick the correct one most of the time, although it was rather easy this week with, Trevor Lawrence on the bye. Your other one was Matt Ryan. I imagine only people like me are starting him in Superflex right now, especially over someone like Jalen Hurts. But, Jalen Hurts keeps somehow scoring fantasy points as well for not being a very good real-life quarterback. He's a pretty good fantasy quarterback, so not too bad for Goofy there, especially he paid, like a 4th and a 5th for him, so you can't beat that, really. Right. The fun thing with Goofy's team, Cordarrelle Patterson still doing things. Still scoring touchdowns every week. He was not on anyone's relevant list to start the season, and now he gets to a starting lineup week after week is actually pretty incredible. But as we all know, the big story out of Goofy's lineup is Mike Evans giving away touchdown balls to the fans. I don't know if Goofy got any Bitcoin from Brady for starting Evans. I don't know how that really worked out. I don't think so, but he hasn't said anything either way, so you never know.
It's still up to be interpreted there, Tank Top Mike. I want to say that this league has gotten very, very competitive, because I think last year, if you scored about 125, 130 points, you're pretty much going to be the top dog that week. And now 135 is right there in the middle. You got to score about 140 to be really like, all right, I got this week. Don't have to look at it again. Which is funny because Marky Mark scored 134, and his running backs did awful. Yep. God awful. If they scored average points, this guy, Marky Mark, he's putting up 150, 160, right there with you, Tank Top Mike. And what's your record, Marky Mark?
It's 200.
Oh, okay. It's not because you're not putting freaking points on the board. It must be your schedule. Who else has a pretty easy schedule? Oh, we're gonna get into that later. Let's go down your lineup here a little bit. Godwin finally has a game without AB being in the game, being on the bench. He puts up 21 points for you, which is nice. But you're going up against Mike Evans that had 3 tutties, 3 of them, which kind of counteracted each other, which was nice for you because you got the last laugh. Your boy Elijah Mitchell coming through, 16 points for you. One running back did the bidding of the man, and then McLaurin or Mick scoring 21 points. Then I just want to take this moment to be very humble, just like Tank Top Mike. I'm trying to learn, you know.
What's coming. I know what's coming.
But there was a person or player that I told you that you should probably pick up with that one of those first round picks in the rookie draft. Who was that? Oh yeah, that's Jamar Chase. How many points he put up last week? Oh yeah, 30 fucking points. He had 200 yards in a game. All right, you're welcome.
I owe it all to Sean.
Here's my question, spot question here, and it's for rivalry week. It's a rivalry week question.
Okay.
You're on the clock, right? Brand new league. You're on the clock. You need a wide receiver. You picking Jamar Chase or are you picking Justin Jefferson?
Woo!
There is a correct answer, believe it or not. But let's see what it is.
You know what? Going into this season, I had this. One of my main focuses was to really see how this transference of quarterback and wide receiver was to the NFL level. And Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase has not skipped a beat. They are just on a different level of understanding each other, kind of on that Devontae Adams and A-Rod kind of level. Sorry, A-Bomb. Adams is out this week. Sore subject. I get it. But Jamar Chase, he is not looking like a rookie because him and Joe Burrow can go to the line and just give each other a look and be like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. And Joe Burrow knows exactly what he's going to do. It is interesting to be in the head of another person when the call could be a go route, and then Jamar Chase just looks at Joe Burrow and goes like that, and then they're like, all right, it's going to be a slant right here because they're both looking at it because they're both super football intelligent, and they just have an understanding and a trust that most rookie wide receivers and quarterbacks don't have. If I have to pick one, I'm going to go Jamar Chase.
Yeah, I think they're both really good players. I think Chase is in a little bit better situation because of the other weapons with
Exactly.
Boyd and Higgins, and now Uzoma, who's all of a sudden a thing, and Joe Mixon there too. Yeah, so I think they have so many weapons that it's hard to focus on anybody. Whereas in Minnesota, it's a little easier to shut down JJ because he's their best one. So that's the guy you focus on, and you let Thielen beat you, or you let. And of course, they run the ball a lot too in Minnesota. So I think it's situational more than anything. I think they're both really good, but Chase, man, coming in like he has, he's just like you say, not looking like a rookie at all, looking like he's been there for a while. So just a special player. All right, let's move on to our next score. Good question, Tank Top Mike. That was a fun one. Thank you. All right, next score. We have Silly Dilly 125, Orlando City FC Football Club 101. So if the season ended today, Dylan is a playoff team. Are you buying it for the season, Mike?
I think I'm going to go no. Just no. So I don't know. Actually, you want to take your side of the rundown here, Sean? You want to get into that?
Let me jump in here, Tank Top Mike. I got a question for the panel here. Is Silly Dilly a good team? No, it's a rhetorical question. He's not a good team. And let me just break it down for you like a shotgun here. Take time, Mike. Tell me what his record would have been if he had the schedule for, say, Marky Mark. What was his schedule? What would his schedule be? What would his record be?
If they perfectly swapped, Silly would be 2-5. Mark, you'd be 5-2.
What about another team? If he swapped with, who am I thinking here, Tank Top Mike?
I mean, believe it or not, I have FNG's data right here, and he'd be 1-6. He'd be 1-6. Yeah.
1-6. Feel free to our many thousands of listeners to go and fact check that, but 1-6 is not a playoff team. He's garbage, straight trash. That is what my analysis of his so-called win this week against a team that had literally no running backs because he was starting all the backups for one team. Go ahead, Michael.
You know what? It just so happens I've been handed one more piece of data.
Ooh, late data. Love it.
So,
let's hear it.
Like Mark says, you're in the playoffs now. Let's work up. Ian, he's second place. Pretty good team. Okay. Pretty solid team. Ian, his record, if he played everybody every week, 44 wins, 19 losses.
That's a pretty good record.
That's pretty good.
Not going to lie.
If it were me, 48 wins, 15 losses.
Woo! Suck it, Ian.
Let's take a look at Silly here. If Silly played,
that must be good because he has a good team, right?
It's got to be good because he's in the playoffs, and we're all watching the magic happen, you know? So let's see. I was 48. Ian was 44. Silly. Got to scroll down an awful far way. Oh, 20 and 43. 20 wins.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That smells like hot dog shit to me there, Tank Top Mike. Can I get an amen?
Bullshit.
You guys done piling on Dilly there?
Never, but I'll take a break, I guess.
Well, I don't think I ever told you guys that I used to date this chick that was a circus clown. And like she used to say to me, it's time for some silly love. So
it sure just got real weird.
I'm going to give Silly Dilly a little bit of love here. So he did have 2 games where he scored below 90, one of which he won over FNG, and neither of which earned him the Miyagi, thanks to FNG. But out of the
scored less than 90 points and still got a win.
Yeah, I mean, things are going your way, right? And we all know that part of fantasy is the luck, you know. And he put together a couple of really nice weeks, 150 and 140, in those ranges. And he's been hitting 120 plus regularly. And I haven't checked the site lately, but I'm guessing he's doing better on the efficiency metrics. He's, last year we used to give him a lot of crap because, well, I'd say we gave him a lot of crap. We used to say, man, Dylan, if you started this guy, you would have had this win. We were saying that like every week pretty much, I think he's doing a little bit better than that. And he's had some luck as well, but I'm going to give him a little bit of love because he's done what he's needed to put together a 5-2 and be up there in the playoff hunt.
That is totally accurate. They say there's no defense in fantasy football, but damn if Silly Dilly is not a perfect example that there is definitely some luck in fantasy football.
He scored 125 points and raised his points per week average, so you can't be too mad at him. So,
TikTok Mike, what's his average score for the season up to this point?
He scores about 114 points a week on average. Yeah.
At a 5-2 record, that must be really, really high. Let me know what mine is at a 3-4 record. What's that?
You know, I got to get a calculator out now.
I think it was 15.
Yeah, 115. Yeah.
Man, I have a higher average score, but my record is 3-4. He has a 1 point less, and he's 5-2. Luck. It is all luck.
So
On to the next one, Marky Mark. Let's go.
apparently we weren't done dishing on Dilly, so.
I'm just taking a break.
All right, man. Let's get on to our next score, which would be Swamp Dick 123, the Underdogs 86. So we saw that photoshopped spanking of Evan by Ricky, and this week was the literal spanking of Evan by Ricky, but this time Evan wasn't smiling. And Brandon, we don't mean to leave you out, but we do have it on good authority that you prefer your spankings from women. Mike, go ahead and tell us about this one.
Just a classic old rivalry win by Ricky here. You know, a pretty good showing by a lot of his big names. Matthew Stafford, pretty good 27-point week. We were, Mark, you threw in the last minute worry about maybe it's a Jared Goff week because everyone forgot that he actually existed because he's probably the most boring quarterback in the league right now.
Yeah.
Stafford comes out, though, 334 yards, 3 touchdowns. Vintage Matthew Stafford week. That's what you started for. Oh, wait, Derrick Henry also threw a touchdown, which is really weird. You know what's funny, though, is I don't know if you guys – we've seen the replay like 400 times by now. Did you see how wide open Ryan Tannehill was on that touchdown? Like, he could have handed it to him just right there. Nope. No points for you, underdogs. Derrick Henry takes all of them. But Hollywood Brown, another great week for him, and Kyle Pitts just keeps scoring points. So you want to talk about looking back on a trade, the Kyle Pitts trade, really working out for you, Ricky. Great looking trade now, but we like to overreact immediately, so we'll continue to do that, especially this evening. So there you go.
Yes. And I love when a trade happens between two teams, and then that one person comes back and bangs the ass of the team that just got traded to him. That is exactly what happened with Kyle Pitts. I think when the DBs moved Kyle Pitts, they're like, oh, it'll be another year until he actually emerges. Atlanta's Atlanta, and they're taking up the South, and they're the deep South, if you can get that reference. But as soon as Kyle Pitts leaves this succubus of points that is the Underdogs team, he actually emerges to be the person that they drafted, which is funny because A.J. Brown is like the only person on their lineup that actually did something this week, which has been the story for the Underdogs all year long. If they are on the Underdogs team, it's a pretty good chance that they're going to underperform. I love seeing that A.J. Brown did so well because he has amazing talent on a fantastic team. Really, really good team. I think if you're sleeping on the Titans as a team as a whole, you are out of your darn right mind because Derrick Henry can take over any game, and Ryan Tannehill is still underappreciated at quarterback, I think, as a whole. On this show, we have definitely showed some love to Ryan Tannehill because he is a very, very high-talented quarterback. And when A.J. Brown is getting 23 points, Derrick Henry isn't throwing him the touchdown. Or wait, is he?
All righty. We'll leave it at that. So let's go on to our last score here. We've got the Pooh Crew, 140. Fresh Prince of El-Air. Might have to change that name since El-Air is on the IR. Fresh Prince of IR, 116. 140 to 116. So this was basically one manager greatly affected by the bipocalypse, and the other was hardly affected. Mike, what did you see in this one?
I think what we've talked about with Ian the last few weeks, I have to give him a little bit of props here. I'm sorry, Sean. A little bit of props. Ian started the correct quarterback this week. He chose Aaron Rodgers over Trey Lance, who didn't play, and Justin Herbert, who was on a bye. So congratulations, Ian. You finally got it right. And look, you got the win from it. So that's what we've been talking about here.
Listen to the show. I think. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I think this was a. I think we all saw the writing on the wall. We're all intelligent fantasy owners and what have you, but I mean, if my running backs did what they're supposed to do, I mean, like Silly Dilly will tell anybody, it's a little bit of luck mixed in with their. If my running backs did 15, 20 points like they did last week, this would be a very, very close game. Very close. And I had a big ol' 0 from somebody that Ian loves to remind me of whenever he gets the opportunity. I think getting the points I did bodes very well moving forward.
Yeah, that's, we talk about luck, and your luck is bad when a guy's hurt in warm-ups, and last minute scratch, and there's nothing you could do about it. That just,
you weren't the only one that happened to. Like there was a lot, I'm sure.
No, he was a hot play. A lot of people were talking about Donovan Peoples-Jones going into that week, and OBJ being banged up, and everybody was high on him. So not a bad play by any means. The fact that you didn't catch it beforehand and got a opportunity to take him out, that really stunk. That's some bad luck, dude. Really bad luck. So
it is what it is.
Yeah. So hoping you get some better luck this week. All right. So let's move on to the Mr. Miyagi ass waxing of the week, which goes to FNG. FNG. Yeah. This is kind of like last season, man. We had Jay Hill, rest in peace, was getting it every week, and it kind of got to where it wasn't fun anymore. Now we got FNG. I hope we get a little bit more parity going forward, so we can split this out, because there's a lot of people that deserve it. Silly Dilly being one, maybe scoring less than 90 points in two different weeks and not getting the Miyagi. Yeah, I mean he's earned it. He's earned it. So let's hope we can spread this around a little more. But he's a trooper, our friend FNG, and he gave me a little speech, or a little acceptance speech here. So he says, "So what's your excuse, underdogs? I'm supposed to score low and win the Miyagi. I thought you guys were trying to win." Words of wisdom from our buddy FNG. Thank you for that. All right, so we're going to move on to the standings. So this was interesting to me. We're halfway through the season, and all the ranking shows that we did, and we had the podcast that Evan did for us. Mike, you were picked mid to low in every one of them. Dylan was always 9 or 10. And the underdogs were the consensus number 2. So, as a mid-season point here, what is the real story? Tell us the rundown on the standings.
Pretty much the complete opposite of that. So, there's your fantasy experts right there.
We're all good fantasy managers here. Fantasy managers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still up at the top, still got the points for. I'm feeling pretty good about it. Obviously, the underdogs still do have a pretty good team. I know we didn't talk about it, but Michael Thomas is not coming back right away, but he's on the way back. So whether they make the playoffs, it's probably a little far out of reach being down there in 9th place, but that's a team that can spoil some playoff hopes for some other guys going into the last few week run for sure. So scoring all these points and stuff, I think that's what it's going to come down to. We've said that quite a bit. And that's actually why we were looking at, Silly's points per week, that we're picking on you a little bit, but you're sitting there in third, and it's going to be pretty competitive up there. So that 114 points per week, you can joke around about it, but I think it's going to come back to get them here one of these weeks, especially later in the season. But, Mark, you're climbing on up. 2 wins in a row. Can't be too mad about that. Only in 8th right now, but the underdogs are trending down still. The pretty low score this week, so they're trending down. You got a kind of a free shot up there. I think, Sean, you're hanging out in the middle. You like to hang out in the middle there. Currently sitting in 7th. But like you said, you're trending up a little bit. I think you've got some pretty positive things going on. So, I think that this is the lowest we've ever seen Goofy, though. I want to end on this. It's the lowest we've ever seen Goofy, this late in the season. He sat at 1 and 2 all last year. How's Goofy respond sitting at 4? That's what I want to know. I want to hear about it.
Good point.
Tank Top Mike, I got a question for you there, boss.
Yes,
Is there
sir.
any team looking down here you might be worried about if the season were to go into the playoffs right now?
And that I'm worried about, I think, like I said, Ian's got the pretty good team. I think he was the consensus number 1 from all the rankings. Really, every single one that we did, Ian's team was listed at number 1. And since those rankings came out, was the Kelsey trade after some of those? So I think, he even got a little bit better from there. I made a recent move because of it. I'm sitting up there. I think Ian's team on paper, if you look at it, is pretty stacked. I think that's going to be pretty tough. So I did make a move just for that reason. So, yeah.
Well, Mark, let's get into those moves that Tank Top Mike is referring to.
Yes, sir. Let's talk some trades. We got 3 of them to talk about this week, and the underdogs are involved with all 3 of them. So they're down there in 9th place trying to do a little something to stay relevant. First trade was between the underdogs and Tank Top Mike. So the underdogs received Jacoby Myers, a 2022 first rounder, which was Dylan's first rounder originally, a 2023 first rounder, which was Humpty's, and a 2024 second rounder, which is Tank Top Mike's pick. In return, Tank Top Mike received Stefan Diggs. I'll let you start it off, Mike. This is a good one, I thought. What do you think? I think you're happy about it.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy about it. On paper, it's a lot to pay for just Stefan Diggs. I'm well aware of all that. Bottom line, I overpaid to get an elite receiver that I felt like I could throw in lineup right away. I don't have to worry about him. He's conveniently not on bye the rest of the season. And hopefully that increases the, say it with me, silly dilly, my points per week. So if it doesn't, I'm making a lot of jokes about being humble. I actually had to be a little humble about this one. What was my weakest point on my team? It was really, I thought, wide receiver. I think going into the later part of the season, obviously Jared Jeudy is coming back next week. How is that going to affect Cortland Sutton, who's sitting as my wide receiver 2 right now? So I had to make a move for that. I'm still confidently starting Sutton the rest of the season. I actually think Jeudy helps out a little bit potentially, but there's going to be some points taken from Sutton. So throwing Diggs in there, now I have to pick between basically, do I want to start Chase Claypool or Michael Pittman? It's a great spot to be in, but I overpaid to try to win this year, and I'm going after it. So if I don't get it, I went after it. So I'm cool with it.
I respect the hustle, Tank Top Mike, and I'd love to say there's one thing about this trade. Pennants fly forever. And that's all you need to know about this trade. You made this trade to win the league, and I respect it. On to the next one, Tank. Mark.
I don't get to say anything about it. You just don't even
Hell
care
no,
what
down to bed.
don't care what I got to think about. All right, fine. Now, this is the kind of move that wins championships. And you have to give up a little bit when you want to win a championship. So kind of wondering, are the underdogs kind of halfway looking at next year already and getting those 2 first rounders? It almost looked like a I don't know, like a opponent. What would you call it? Just like not burning it down yet, but maybe kind of a pre-burning it down kind of move there.
They're just sticking their toes in the water, seeing how it feels.
Yeah. I mean, hey, they got some good first rounders there. So, and a second rounder. You got next 3 drafts. They got some picks there. I like Jacoby Myers a lot. Everybody, I think, knows that Jacoby's a good receiver. He's not getting the touchdowns, but it's going to change at some point. So he's a good guy to have. But I mean, Stephon Diggs, a guy, he turns 28 in November, and he hasn't had a lot of injuries. And I'm thinking he should be good for another 2 to 3 years. So it's kind of a win now, but it's also somebody that you're going to have in the next couple of years. I think he'll still be good. Like I think about Julio Jones and the hamstring issues. When he started hitting this age, I was kind of out on Julio, but I'm not saying that about Stephon. I'm still in on Stephon because he hasn't had a lot of injuries. I think he can still perform at a high level for another couple of years, another 3 years maybe. So I like it for you, Mike. This could be the one that we're saying put you over the top when it comes down to it. So
I sure hope so. It took like 4 days to do this. And,
yeah.
and here's a fun behind the scenes fact. Evan Engram almost ruined all of it. So
He almost always ruins all of it, man. Dang, Evan Ingram. All right, let's move on to the next one here. We got the underdogs again, trading with FNG. So the underdogs receive Emmanuel Sanders and a 2023 third rounder, which is FNG's. And our buddy FNG gets Brian Edwards. He's the latest one to get Brian Edwards. I think he's been moved probably the most in this league. Might be a fun fact.
He's been on everybody's team, but quest for 6
Maybe
there.
so. Maybe could be a Navek nugget. Maybe he can look up that and let us know tomorrow in chat here. Okay,
Please do. I love those things.
So FNG, Brian Edwards, 2023 fifth rounder, Tank Top Mikes, and a 2024 fifth rounder, which is FNG's. Start us off, Mike, on this one.
So we have a trend here going on in this league right now. We're trading 2024 picks already. Both of these trades so far, 2024 pick in there. So we're in this for the long haul, everyone. But, I was actually pretty surprised to see the underdogs send away Brian Edwards. I admit I inquired about my boy here, Edwards, a few times in the last few weeks, and I got basically told to pound sand. Don't even try. So it was a little heartbreaking. But I think, like you said, Mark, the Stephon Diggs trade was sort of a what are they doing here kind of thing, and then they just swapped him out with an overperforming probably a receiver here in Buffalo. Yeah, I think I'm not sure how I feel about this one quite yet, to be honest. I've thought about it a little bit. My initial thought was I would have probably kept Brian Edwards. I think he's looking pretty promising. But I also, I think Emmanuel Sanders is playing at a pretty high level right now, just a little older. So I'm not sure on this one. I think this is one that, we're going to have to look back on a little bit and see what actually pans out on it.
I will actually go on the record and say that I actually like this trade for both sides. I like the Brian Edwards addition for FNG, trying to create something, maybe catch lightning in a bottle. And the underdogs are trying to just get a little bit of draft capital moving forward. Maybe not even to use the pick, just a good third-round pick will move some people over the line with a good trade maybe next year. So I like it for both teams. I can see where each team is kind of looking. FNG really didn't need the third-round pick. He has, 40, 45 first-round picks in the next 2 years or something like that. I don't know. I'm not good with stats, obviously. But I like it for both teams.
Yeah, I like the fact that the underdogs traded away Diggs and they go get Sanders. So they get somebody that's performing at a pretty good level. He's had 4 straight weeks in double digits for fantasy points. Sanders has. So, they give up Diggs, but they get Sanders, and Dawson Knox is now out. So, it's looking like probably the number 2 in that offense right now. So kind of like we'll get a couple of first rounders. We'll give up the stud. We'll give up, get a couple of first rounders, but then we'll get a guy that's going to get us some points. So in the 2 moves, it's not bad for what I'm seeing there. FNG gets Brian Edwards, so you got a 22-year-old as opposed to a 34-year-old. FNG needs the youth infusion, and he's going to draft a lot of young guys, and his thing is going to be about hitting on the draft and getting good young guys to have that solid roster in the next year or two. So, yeah, it's a good one. That the 5th rounders to me were funny, and I made a comment about it in chat, called him a pick whore again. I was like, really, 5th rounders? I mean, but hey, he got his own 5th rounder back for 2024. I'm sure that's going to be something when it comes down to it. Edwards right now, my last little point here, 4.5 targets per game. He's a little boomer bust, but he's on the upswing. I think we all know that if he was in a better situation, Edwards could be something, but he's just kind of splitting all those targets with Waller and Ruggs right now, and it's going to be a little tough for him. But maybe in a couple of years, he'll be the cream that rises to the top there. So I like it a lot for FNG. I like it a little for the underdogs. I think they did all right there too.
I think we might not even have to wait a couple years with the new coaching. A lot of reports coming out of Raider Nation there saying that with Gruden gone, it seems like everybody's out of the doghouse and everybody can kind of woosah a little bit. So we don't know what's going to happen with this offense. I know Derek Carr is going to be the focal point. So if you need a quarterback, come see your boy. See your boy.
It's not super flex, man. one quarterback. All right, here we go. Last trade. Again, the underdogs trading with Swamp Dick. This one just came in while we were all trying to prep for the show. Thank you very much for increasing our workload today. We're all sweating over this stuff. So we got the underdogs receiving David Montgomery, Terrace Marshall, and a 2022 3rd rounder, which was Airgate 2020s. Swamp Dick receives Miles Gaskin and a 2023 2nd rounder, which was his own originally. Mike, what do you think about this trade?
So I'm gonna play this one a little different. Don't be so concerned, okay, Sean. So my initial thought on this trade was, man, the value was absolutely whack. Even just feeling it, it's whack. It's one of those, how did you pull this off? Did you actually steal Ricky's phone? Who knows what actually happened kind of deals, right?
Was Swamp Dick high as hell?
Yeah, right? Yeah. So
it's all what goes through my head. So.
Were there gummies involved?
So I thought this is a little strange. The value is so off that, we got to be missing something. And I didn't like it. And then, so in our pregame chat, though, pre-show chat here, we had a little chat about it. I don't want to steal your points, but Mark, you made a lot of good points. Kind of convinced me a little bit that it was maybe a little bit better than it looks on the surface. So I'm not going to steal your points. I'm just going to say ahead of time that I agree with you.
Okay.
I'm definitely not going to steal your points because I think this trade is absolute. If I can steal a punchline from the Tank Top Mike, hot dog shit. Hot dog shit. That is literally what I think. Like, Miles Gaskin hasn't been a thing since I traded him. Well, a little bit after I traded him, the underdogs got a benefit from, but he has been Dooku in that backfield. Miami Dolphins are freaking looking to get another running back. David Montgomery, when he comes back, he's going to be splitting the carries. As I won't say who said that, but I think he's still going to be valuable. He's definitely more valuable than a 2nd-round pick in 2 years and a guy that barely even plays. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? And then Terrace Marshall, it's his rookie year, and he was a first round pick. Yes, we get it. And he's not living up to what he was supposed to be doing. Yeah, we get it. But he could be his sophomore year and just explode. Like, what the hell is wrong with this trade? I hate this trade.
Well, yeah, my points were that, yeah, at first I thought it didn't look too good, but then thinking more about it with Montgomery being on IR and Khalil Herbert coming in and doing his thing for 3 games now. Um, I don't think there's any guarantee that Montgomery comes back in and gets that 90% workload that he was getting before. He got a little dinged up in preseason last year. He kind of played through it, last season, but now he's hurt this year, and they'd be smart to let Herbert take some of that workload and not overwork the guy. So I don't think Montgomery comes back into the workload he had. Herbert has proven himself. I think he's going to take some snaps from him. So I kind of thought about that, and it looked a little bit better to me. Also, Malcolm Brown went on IR. So Myles Gaskin probably gets a little bump from that because, for whatever reason, with the Rams and with the Dolphins, Malcolm Brown has come in and taken good quality snaps from other guys that were otherwise better than him. So with Malcolm Brown out of the way, I think Gaskin could see a bump. I actually think Salvon Ahmed looked pretty good too, though. Seeing him play last week, but you know, what Ricky told me, the rest of the story here is that if Montgomery was healthy, he wouldn't have made that move. So that and he's saying that there's talks about Montgomery being shut down, and looking further down his roster, Davis is starting to lose snaps. He traded me for Mike Davis, and now Davis is kind of losing some of his volume. So he was just kind of looking at, I need somebody that I can throw in there. So I think Ricky's just scrapping to get somebody in there that can get him points and get him wins so that he can stay in the playoff hunt. So, yeah, on the surface, it didn't look too good, but if you dig a little deeper, I don't think this is a terrible trade. I think it's one of those, again, the underdogs are looking for, maybe the future with Montgomery. Ricky's looking to win right now, so I think it was pretty good for both of them.
I'll allow you to be wrong, Marky Mark.
All right, we'll see how it goes, man. We'll see. Terrace Marshall, I like a lot. I really do like him, but he was out with a concussion last week. His targets have been going down. Darnold has not been doing well. I like him. There's a good upside guy. It may be a good buy low for the underdogs there with Terrace Marshall, but it doesn't seem to be materializing this year at all. So I'll give them some credit for getting Marshall as well for a futures move. All right, that takes care of the trades. We will move on to next week's matchups. So let's do it. The marquee matchup of the week is Swamp Dick versus Silly Dilly. Silly Dilly. I'm really doing the silly love this week, man. I put him in my marquee matchup, so he can shut the hell up about me in chat. I'll tell you that much. Anyway, let's go on here. So Humpty is the first man out of the playoffs right now. Silly Dilly has overachieved. We've all agreed on that. Who gets this one, Mike?
I'm looking at some of these matchups, and I think I'm going to have to lean toward Swamp Dick. Yep. I think it's a little poetic that Silly is projected about 117 points right now with a full lineup in. So
sounds familiar. Where have I heard that?
But you know what? That I guess projections aren't everything. That's why we play the game, I guess. But I think Ricky put Gaskin in right away. That he has a tough matchup against Buffalo. But like you said, it's a volume play as well. So, that could be their divisional game too. So who knows really what's going to go on there. I think Ricky's really going to be watching the Titans game because I don't know if you knew he's a Titans fan. If you guys, if you picked up on that in chat a little bit, yeah. So he'll probably be watching Derrick Henry throws for some more touchdowns this week. I think he's going to watch that going all the way to the win.
I think Billy over here, even though he is a closet Buccaneers fan, it's fine. Stay in the fucking closet. We don't need you. Tom Brady's definitely going to put up some points for him, and Leonard Fournette's going to really do fantastic in his RB1 spot because he has that shitty-ass RB2 in the RB2 spot. But it's not going to be enough. Sorry, silly dilly. Your magic juju you have against your opponents is not Derrick Henry proof. Derrick Henry is going to just beat you outright, I think. So it's been nice knowing you up there in the playoffs there, silly dilly. Welcome back to reality. I think that's what's going to happen in week 8 here. Humpty by 30.
Well, it's a big matchup. It's a really big matchup because, Humpty's got to, like I said, first man out. So he really needs a win to try to stay in the hunt there. And, we'll see what Dylan's made of here, man. He's going to have to set that perfect lineup again and see if he can keep on up there in that playoff spot. All right, let's move on to the next matchup, which is the Pooh Crew versus the Underdogs. So this is a crucial matchup for the Underdogs if they're going to have a chance this season. Going up against Ian, sitting there in second place. Mike, what do you see in this one?
Yeah, this is a tough one for the Underdogs because Ian's team is looking like he also doesn't have many guys on bye again. So I don't know how this happened. But Ian's looking pretty strong again. He gets Dalvin Cook back, although against a pretty good performing Cowboys defense. That one could be kind of a high scoring game, but it's in Dallas. So is it? No, it's not in Dallas. I take that back. I'm sorry. So that actually could help Cook a little bit there. But we'll have to kind of see what some of these matchups pan out for with Ian here. The DeAndre Hopkins thing, he's still leading the team in targets, catches, touchdowns, and everything. But I'm sure he's looking for a little bit of a higher performance from Hopkins, especially going down into the rest of the season. Although 2 catches for DK Metcalf, I'm cool with that. As an opponent of Ian, 2 catches for DK the rest of the season, we're good to go.
Yeah, I'm looking at the projection upset this week for the Underdogs. I think the Underdogs will pull this out if they follow one little tidbit of advice. Start Dak Prescott. You need the stack for Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb. And I love some of these matchups going down for the Underdogs. Gainwell going up against Detroit. Sanders went down last week. Unfortunately, sorry, Marky Mark. Gainwell's going to be the man. He's projected at 13 points. I think that's under projection. He's going to totally beat that. And then, even to add a little cherry on top of this beautiful Sunday that they have going on for matchups, they have Hubbard going against Atlanta. Atlanta, I don't know if you guys know this or if you guys watch football at all, but they fucking suck real bad. And he's projected at 12 points. He's going to overperform. I would be shocked if anybody on the Underdogs team this week underperforms. I think this is a get-right game for the Underdogs this week, and they actually do what they expect to do every week, and that's overperform at every position. I think the Underdogs win it by 20. I think they beat them by 20 this week.
Sheesh. You picked them a lot last year, and how'd that work out for them? They're probably like, no. not Sean picking us to
That's
win.
last year.
Yeah, this is a new season, guys. I kind of I agree with you to a large extent there, Sean. I think that this could be a get right game for him. It's a big one. This is a big matchup for him. We've got we were talking about the preseason rankings. These are the 1 and 2. This is the 1 and 2 going up against each other, and they're no slouch. They made a few trades, so it's maybe not the same um, roster that they had in the rankings, but still got a pretty decent one going on there. If they do everything just right, they might go ahead and get one here, start to make that move on up the rankings. So this is a good one. I'm almost made this my marquee matchup, but had to give it a little silly love there. All right, let's go on to the next matchup, which is Tank Top Mike versus Orlando City Football Club. So those 200 points for Aaron a couple of weeks ago are keeping him third in scoring, but he needs a win. Mike, is he going to get it, or are you going to keep on a roll?
I feel like some of this news coming out for Aaron is a little rough. Obviously Devontae Adams, we all read that. So, and like we said earlier, I'm coming in pretty much full strength. I got all my bye guys back. I get to start, my new receiver in Diggs. So I get to, flex Sutton now instead. I try not to be too terribly confident in every week, really, but I feel like if the projections and the games go how they kind of should be going, I feel okay on this one. I'm excited to see what I can actually do now after all these, because there's a big trade, so hopefully it comes out okay game one.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more there, Tank Top Mike. I think it's going to be tough sledding uphill for the Orlando City Football Club over here. And I think you're going to win it handily. I even think you're going to double up the football club's score this week. He might have scored 200 points last week, but his team is significantly different from his 200-point game. So we'll see what he can mob together for this week.
Yeah, it's a tough time for Orlando City Football Club to come up against the hot guy in the league right now. So I hate that he's not coming in with Adams. That just sucks, man. And I'd love to see him at least have him in there to because that's the kind of guy that gives you a chance to win the week. He can win your whole week for you sometimes, but hate that he won't have him and doesn't look great for him. So we'll have to see how that one shakes out. All right, let's move on to the next matchup, which is the Fresh Prince of IR going up against Goofy Chase. So Goofy is barely hanging on to a playoff spot right now. Sean needs a win to stay in the hunt. This is another good matchup. Sean, I'll let you start this one off. Tell us why you're going to beat Goofy this week.
I don't know if anyone knows this, but Tank Top Mike scored 170 points last week and really, really gave it to FNG. I'm going to take that blueprint, scoring a lot of points in 1 week, and just destroy Goofy Jace this week. You're going to get the full brunt of the lineup that I have been working on all season long. And I don't care who the hell you start, it's not going to be enough. Me.
Wow. More humility. I'm loving the humility, guys. It's touching. It's touching.
Well, a bird in a tree told me that I was scared to call out Goofy Jace, so consider him called the hell out.
The only thing I'm looking at here on Goofy's side, and maybe we bring this up a little bit, maybe too often, who knows, I don't know. But he's got a lot of Buccaneers, so your own Buccaneers may beat you here. And I'm looking like, maybe they're matchup dependent or who knows. They get New Orleans this week. Now, I don't know if you remember week 1 last year. what the New Orleans Saints did to the Bucks. But you know who remembers what the New Orleans Saints did to the Bucks? Tom Brady. He remembers. They're putting up
Yes, he
they're
does.
putting up 49 points at least this week. If Gronk comes back, I'm going to up it. I'm going to up it. Maybe another touchdown. But I'm kind of serious about it. Tom Brady remembers what happened. I think he's going to go in there and he's going to do some real damage. And obviously, Cordell Patterson's good for anywhere from 1 to 7 touchdowns himself. So this one's gonna be fun too. A lot of playoff implication on this one. I think it's going to come down to the quarterback play. It's going to come down to Burrow and Hurts. Whoever scores more of that in that specific positional matchup, that's who wins the week.
I'm just going to say Chris Godwin is going to have a fantastic week.
You're jinxing me again, man. You're trying to jinx me, aren't you? Trying to jinx me. Yeah, put you in a juxtaposition, as they say there, Sean. You rooting for your Bucks, but then your Bucks could kick your ass in this matchup. So it'll be an interesting one, man. I'm here for you. Okay, I'm here for you. When you need a shoulder to cry on, I'm here for you. We're family. We're family. All right. Let's move on to our last matchup, which is the Tough Luck Kid versus FNG. The revenge match. His only freaking win. Only good week he had. He had to have it against me. I'm hoping to string 3 together. Mike, do you think I can do it?
Well, FNG last week started T.Y. Hilton, so he's still in his lineup. So I hope somebody has checked on FNG. Is he breathing? Because he's got a lot of players on bye. So if his lineup does not change, I think that you win. If his lineup does change, well, I'm looking at some of these options he's got on his bench. You're probably gonna go up against Danny Dimes or Jared Goff. They're the exact same guy, so who cares? I think you avoided Kamara and got a win there. I think you're avoiding Lamar Jackson and get a win here.
I will encourage him to. Sorry, Sean. I'll encourage him to double down on his lineup, man. Didn't work out this week, but this next week is going to be the one.
I'm not sure if some of those options better than these guys on bye, to be honest with you. So we'll see what happens with his lineup. It's all upside because the basement is his baseline. So I think you get 3 this week there, Marky Mark.
I really didn't want you to pick me, though, man. When you pick guys, it doesn't work out so well. Maybe this will be. Hopefully, this will be the week that it all turns around, and the underdogs and the Tough Luck Kid will get victories, despite Sean picking them to win.
Well, y'all, that's the end of our show. If you did not see this show and you fast forwarded all the way to the end, here's a little recap. Silly Dilly, you suck. Goofy, you're going down. And I'm still the best. And if you ever forget that this person is in our league, let me remind you, Ian, you suck.